Hi, Dennis here at Capital Training and Chewing. We're recapping this evening the video on calming the anxious young horse, that Palomino filly that was working with. And you know, I left you with a thought in that video about how your imagination is the most important thing. And you might wonder why we do things in here with toys, and I got a ruler in my hand. Well, I do that for two reasons. One is to stretch your imagination, to get you to your thoughts to go back to, those of you that have watched the video, go back to the video and remember what went on during that video. And then as we're talking here, you know, you're going to be able to recognize more things because we don't have the interference of the horse. So we can set things up better for you all to be able to learn. And that's why we do these things. And by the way, if you like the content that we're putting out, you know, I've noticed that most of you haven't subscribed yet. It's free, you know, and that when you subscribe to the channel, what that does is it helps the algorithm. And what does that mean? That more people get to see the video. So you're not only helping us to get better known, but you're helping other people that might not have a chance to see them otherwise to be able to have them come across on their feed. So I appreciate you doing that very much. Thank you. So if you remember back, that filly was, she was pawing the fence. She was frustrated. She did not want to be there, and she was throwing a little tantrum, you know, just wanting to be anywhere but where she was. So that's what I started out with by saying that I feel for the horses. And what does that mean? I mean, that means you have empathy. That doesn't mean you have sympathy for them. That just means that you can understand where they're coming from. And when you understand a horse, or a person for that matter, you're going to have a better understanding as to why they do what they do. If we fail to take into consideration, first off, the feelings of the horse is going to be doing things, and we'll start blaming that horse for doing things like he's, you know, some kind of a, like he's purposefully not doing what we want him to do. And horses just aren't wired up that way. I mean, if they've been worked with a lot and taught how to be resentful in poor handling, well, then maybe they're on purpose doing some things against you. But a baby like this that hasn't had much handling is just acting out of pure instinctual behavior. So we need to recognize what attitude is showing up, and the attitude of the horse is a tremendous key in being able to communicate with him, for us to recognize what attitude is that horse in. Is she fearful? Is she frustrated? Both of those things were at play. You know, is she mad? Maybe at times she got mad. I don't know. You know, probably. What does that matter? Well, all of those are attitudes that we don't want, right? We don't want to be around a frustrated, irritated horse that's mad at the world. You know, because that's just, it doesn't look pretty for one, causes the horse to look bad, and causes you to look bad. So if we can help that horse to get more comfortable on the inside, that was my whole goal of this first work with that filly, was to set the stage for her to get comfortable. Well, how did I do that? And did it get accomplished? You know, I've got a toy horse here, and I think it's interesting that even the artist captured some things in this horse that maybe they weren't aware of that they were doing. They probably, you know, made this model off of looking at a picture, or maybe they had the image of that horse in their mind, and this is what came out. Doesn't matter how it is, but you know, look, the horse is looking out of his left eye, and look how his body's shaped up. The right rib cage, the right shoulder, are going out to the right. The inside of this horse is sort of curved just a little bit, and the hip and the head are essentially going in the same direction. Just take note of that, and realize that when a horse is, let's say that we got I couldn't find any cowboys. I found this duck hunter here, doesn't even have a gun in his hand. So we're gonna imagine, you're gonna use your imagination. This is a hand sitting here. This isn't a guy calling ducks in. This is a horse trainer, and he's here and us to get our point across. We've got this as a fence. Okay. Remember, ended up getting that filly over there by the fence. And why do I use the fence? For one, if I'm this guy here and I'm sending this horse around and I see that kind of posture, what does that tell me to do? That tells me to do something, because if I just stand there and watch that, if I watch from here this posture and don't do anything about it, what am I telling my horse then? Go ahead and do whatever you want to do. I'm of no use to you out here. You can run over me anytime you'd like to. That's what this posture is telling you right here. So don't be surprised if you've been watching this take place in your horse while you're watching him go around the circle out there and he's looking the wrong way and leaning to the inside. Don't be surprised the day that he runs over you, because it's coming. So let's see what we can do to help that. So we send him around this way, and naturally I've got to change direction with this model horse here that we've got in order to make the change. But this send him on through. When he gets through, comes through here, what I'm having this guy do is focus right here on the hip as he's coming around. And why do I want to do that? Because I want the hip in this case to go away from me, like this. Back up here a minute. What does the wall do over here? It just simply keeps the horse in close proximity. It gives me an opportunity to let slack be in the lead rope between me and the horse, instead of the horse just getting tight on the lead rope and dragging me all over the pen. So sometimes I even use a corner, you see, if I'm not in a small pen. If I get in a corner, I've got two sides helping me, and I've got two sides open, see? And generally on the open side, when they're out here, they're trying to pull you away, but when they come into that fence, they come into you. So there's the opportunity for that horse to feel a release right there. The fence helped, but that's the horse putting the release in right there, see? And that's when we're gonna let that happen. So that filly was needing to have a little more respect for a human being. That's another reason I come over here to the wall. So I'll send her through, and this is a technique that I use. I'm going to have this guy now look at the hip. I'm going to have him, that's a little bit almost, the way he's got his hand curved there, it's a little obscene how he raised his hand, so apologize for that. Imagine that he's got his hand like this instead of like this. But anyway, he's looking at the hip. When that horse comes by, he's going to let that horse feel. If the horse doesn't move the hip, the horse then will feel the halter pull tight just a little bit, and then the horse finds relief by coming back this way. Now then, we've changed sides on the horse. And with this stationary model that I can't change how the shape of the body is here naturally, you can see this on this side is a much more workable position, because as the horse goes through, where is the horse looking? The horse is looking right at this guy right here. And when he's looking at you, when the horse is looking at you, you've got a means from a distance to have better communication. The horse can see you raise a hand. The horse can see you lower the hand. What does raising and lowering the hand mean? Whenever we need to get our energy going out of our body in an extended way, we need to increase the energy. We need to step on the gas of our engine. We need to communicate to the horse that we need them to move away from us or forward, or whatever the picture that we're needing is right there at that moment. We're going to use our hands more than likely as a tool. If we go straight up with our hands, we're increasing the energy to maximum amount. We let it down when the horse is doing what we want. When we get small like this, the horse is feeling, you see, the horse is feeling the release that come right there. When we graduate our energy level that's coming from us, sometimes we need to maybe turn completely away to let that horse even feel even less energy, but you're getting the point here, is that we've got to have full control of our energy, no matter whether we're at lowest RPM all the way up to highest RPM and everything in between. Then we're going to tie that to what we're seeing the horse do, and we're going to respond accordingly to what we want. I know that sounds like maybe a little bit of a circling of words, but that's exactly what's going on in that video. So there's a tremendous amount that went on in that video. If you notice, there was, at first, that filly was really wanting to just push that shoulder into me like that. And this is a defensive move from a horse. Whether they know that they're doing that or not, that's an instinctive defensive measure to lean in with that shoulder. Dropping the shoulder is what we're talking. When that shoulder drops in on you, you got resistance in the horse. When that horse is standing up, the shoulder's picked up, we've got softness, we've got suppleness taking place. So that's basically what I was doing, was watching when the horse was pushing on me. I raised my energy up at that moment to get the horse to move away. As soon as this effort on my part got into the horse's mind, went through the body and got down to the feet, and we had a step away instantly. Now, the life came down as low as it can be to let this horse feel the difference between right and wrong. So it's a matter of conscious thought here on this handler's part, matching the energy to what's being seen to get the horse to do the thing that we want it to do. Now, this filly, you know, she didn't understand just yet that, you know, when she felt pressure, it meant to do a specific thing, but she felt pressure. And when she felt the pressure, it's up to me to let her know when she has stepped into my picture. So let's say that, for example, I wanted forward motion. I would focus if I want forward motion in a horse, I'm going to focus my energy right here behind the shoulder. You know, somewhere in this area right here where my left leg would be if I was on that horse. And if I'm focused in energy right there, this is behind the drive line, that horse should go forward. Now, if in the beginning they don't always understand that is what that means, especially in the beginning, when you put a little pressure on right there, you might get met initially with a wrong choice of shouldering into you. You might get met with a wrong choice of trying to get too far away from you. These are just a horse exploring ways to get away from the pressure that they're feeling from you, even though the pressure that we're putting on is simply us raising our energy up here. You know, that shows up to the horse as a form of pressure. So when that horse feels that pressure, we've got it focused where we want it to be. It's up to us to recognize that when I focus there and forward's what I want, and that horse does that, I need to let that horse, as soon as that horse took that step, to feel that pressure come off. See, then the horse starts thinking, every time this guy moves his hand some way, and I move my feet another way, I'm feeling better. And they'll show you that in their face, they'll show you that in their eye, they'll show you that in their posture, they'll show you that in their muscle tone. They'll show you when they have felt the release. So watch for those signs. That's why it's a continuous reading process. And when you stay in a continual state of mind of watching for that horse to do the thing you want so you can allow them to do your thing, and you're not going to allow them to just do ridiculous stuff, that choices that they're making that aren't going to serve you or them at all. You've got to show up as a leader, and you've got to position yourself so that you are in a position of advantage, so that you can help these horses to understand what raising your hand meant. They don't initially understand that. You've got to show them that, look, when I raise my energy up, if you do this, I do that. The horse is looking for the opportunity for that pressure to leave. They understand that. They don't understand pressure at first. Sometimes they'll come into it. Sometimes they panic and do too much. Sometimes they make the wrong choice. It's all right. They're just searching. They don't know the answer, so it's up to us as the role leader to show them. And that's what you're going to see in that video even more when you go back and watch it. You know, there's a tremendous amount in that video. It's fairly long. I think it's about 19 minutes long, which is a little longer than most of ours. But go back and watch the process that takes place between the ears of that filly, and see if you can't see her get to a place where she feels better. We feel for her. She's exhibiting that she feels better internally when we finished than she did when we started. If that's the only goal that you give yourself every time you get around your horse, or for that matter, anybody that you get around, isn't it a rewarding feeling to feel like that anybody you come in contact with is better off because they came in contact with you? And when you leave, who reaps the benefit of that the most but you? If every horse you come in contact with is better off because you came in contact with it, and you might only been there for 2 minutes, but what you did helped that horse to feel better, that was a good work. and 2 minutes of a good work, one step in a positive direction, is far better than working that horse all day long and wearing him out and just exhausting him physically and mentally, to where he finally just gives up in disgust. That's not, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's not effective. So think about being there in the moment, thinking about keeping yourself in the moment. Just because you're in the moment doesn't mean that you're going to have good, clear communication with your horse. But what happens is that when you are in the moment, you're in the now, you're now at least have yourself positioned so that you can do things deliberately to help that horse, and just keep working at that. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to, and if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. So it's completely up to you. You're the only limiting factor here in how far you can go with your horse, or any horse you get in contact with for that matter. So anyway, I appreciate your time here with this recap. Go back and rewatch that video and see if you don't get a whole lot more out of it this time. Thank you very much.